So I ended up leaving Germany, and I was only there for, I wasn't even there a full day before they sent me to Bethesda. And I land, because my family was supposed to meet me in Germany, but the turnaround was so fast that the Marines were like, no, we're just gonna send you to Bethesda. And I got to Bethesda, and man, both flights from Iraq to Germany to Bethesda, every little bit of turbulence, every little bump, every little movement was like being blown up all over again. It was gnarly because your body was in so much pain. It was just, I'd never puked so much because of pain in my life. And it was one of those things where I was, again, every little jar, every movement was just like, you're as human as they come. Like there's nothing special about you. This is not going to get easier. And I remember getting there, and they're waiting over by the emergency entrance, and the doors open, and of course, the liaison had told my family, like, hey, Jake's on the runway, they just touched down. And my dad is there, and I'm sure I looked amazing. My head was probably the size of a watermelon, and I was black and blue and purple, and I'm sure I smelled amazing too. And my dad put his hand on my chest, and he said, Bubba, is that you? And all I could get out was, get your damn hand off my chest, because all my ribs were broken, and it hurt like hell. And he looks at my family and goes, yep, that's Jake. It's Jake. And so they're rolling me on the gurney, and this young sailor's pushing me, and I remember every little, like in the grout that separates tiles, like every little bump, it was like getting blown up again. And it would take my pain from 6 to as much as you could think in the snap of, it was gnarly. And so I remember he's going to push me on the elevator to take me down to the ICU. And the big gap that separates the floor and the elevator. Well, he goes across that, and we're in the big elevator where they take the patients on gurneys. And so my family's in there with us, and he goes across that bump. Man, this dude is so young, and just, he was the epitome of a boot. And so he goes across that gap, and I knife hand him with my right hand, and I look up and I say, if you do that again, I'm going to take you out. And my dad laughs and looks at the family like, he's going to be okay, and like the dude's meaning to hit gaps, right? It's just, the problem was I was never trained to be a severely wounded Marine. It wasn't in the handbook. And so I didn't know what the hell to do. And let's just get this out of the way. I was never a good patient, ever. Not one time. It was something that I just didn't have in me. All I knew to do was to be a dick and fight like hell. And when I fight like hell, I'm usually a dick. That was my survival mechanism.
Now, were you just like angry? Were you angry that you were hurt and pissed off that your leg was gone, and you're like just pissed? And so every nurse you're pissed at.
I'm not mad. Listen, I'm not angry that my leg's gone. I'm not angry. I'm angry.
I'm talking about at that time.
At that time, I'm not angry that my leg's gone. Okay. I'm not angry. I never did the why me. I never, not to this day, I don't believe in that. I'm angry because my family is back in a godforsaken land fighting, and here I am sucking up oxygen in a hospital bed. That's why I'm angry. Mm-hmm. I'm pissed off at God. Because it's like, hey, you had a perfectly good chance. Then what the hell? What the hell? What am I supposed to do right from here? Right now, what am I doing? I'm doing no good. None. That's why I was angry. I was angry because I could not contribute to what I was trained to contribute to with my brothers. Mm-hmm. They were there, and I was back home in an air-conditioned room with a bunch of people waiting on me hand and foot. Pun totally intended. Like that, that's why I was pissed. Mm-hmm. No, they couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them for that to this day. I don't blame them for that. But it was, 04, we had a lot of guys getting hurt, a lot of guys getting wounded, and I mean, the hospital was full of guys. I wasn't no different. I wasn't special. I wasn't any better or worse, or I was just a guy who had a bad day at work.
So what are they doing? What are you going through at this point? You know, obviously you're going through surgery upon surgery.
Dude, it was gnarly. Yeah, I mean, it was for the first 2.5, I guess, months I was home, I was in the OR every 48 to 72 hours. And some of those operations were like 18, 19, 20-hour operations.
And they're piecing you back together.
Yeah, man. Robbing for Peter, give to Paul to try and save my left leg and my left arm.
And dude, set and stuff.
It was crazy. Crazy, crazy.
How many surgeries do you have?
Stateside, I had 46. And I had 23 blood transfusions.
I've had a couple surgeries. I had a neck surgery, and I had a hernia surgery. So when I got those surgeries, right, like you just feel like complete crap. And so you're just going through that just like almost on a permanent level.
Yeah.
The anesthesia, the blood loss, all that stuff. It's
it's wake up, suck, go to bed, repeat. And it was nothing. There was nothing fun about any of it. And I mean, it was so bad that it was like the nurses at the nurse station, the night nurses, I'll never forget. And it happened every night. They would do paper, rock, scissors to see who had to take my chart. It was that bad. And God forbid a psychologist walk in my room. God forbid. It was because I had nothing to say to those. So
I just realized I laughed at this, right? And you're telling it in a funny way because you're like, hey, I was a bad patient. But the point I was getting at before, like why you were angry, but we're laughing about it right now, but you're not kidding. Like this, like you were fucking pissed, right? Yeah. And when someone come in, you'd be like, get that off me. I don't want to, were you that like just aggro with people?
So I had this is the rule that I had as a patient. You're not allowed in my room unless we share DNA or you're a United States Marine. And that goes for the president on down. I don't give a shit what your title is or who you are. Those are the rules. If you don't have the same DNA as me and you're not a United States Marine, don't come in my room because I'm going to let you know you're not allowed. And that was because I'm in survival mode. Mm-hmm. I'm in survival mode, and I didn't know what that looked like. I was making it up as I went. I mean, didn't matter what surgeon was talking to me, what professional with a bunch of letters after his or her name. I didn't care. I did not care. Because my mindset was like, I'm trying to figure out how to get to the next breath in the least painful ways possible. And it was something that it was, like I said, I went from being a part of one of the most elite fighting forces known to mankind to not being able to use the bathroom on my own. I was in a hospital bed for months. Overnight. I mean, at the drop of a hat. That's not humble pie. That's in hell in the factory. Knowing that my guys, I knew Fallujah, we were already drawing the war plan for Fallujah. Mm. And so it's like, here I am. And not broken, I hate that terminology, but here I am completely fractured. And these guys are hooking and jabbing, and they're asking me what color Jell-O I want. And it's like, I don't need to eat. I need to get through the next minute. And then the minute after that. Nothing else matters. Nothing. I just need to survive second by second, minute by minute, breath by breath. And continue to believe I'm worth this thing called life. I need to keep fighting. And a byproduct of that is that I was a giant dick. But I kept fighting. Mm-hmm. It wasn't pretty. But I kept fighting.